everybody. Welcome back to Purpose, where we're going through the Bible, learning the stories of our salvation history so that we can get to know God better, so we can love Him the way He deserves to be loved. And we're relating all these stories to our own lives. Well, we left off with Genesis chapter 26. Abraham and Sarah have now passed on. They've died. And now the story goes more towards Isaac and his wife Rebekah and their boys Jacob and Esau. Well, there was a famine in the land. And this has happened before. There's been famines in the land before. Abraham had to leave because of a famine, and he went to the land of Gerar, where the king was Abimelech. Remember old Abimelech? How Abraham went there with his wife Sarah, and he was scared to death that everybody was going to think she was so beautiful they were going to kill him to get to her. So he lied and said that she was his sister. And then Abimelech found out about it. Well, Abraham must have talked to Isaac and taught him what to do in case of a famine. Maybe he left him directions. I don't know. I'm going to guess it was all verbal. But he told him, if a famine comes, go to Gerar. Here's the path that you should take. I've got wells that I've dug so you can get water for you and your family. And that's exactly what Isaac did. He learned from his dad, and he went to the land of Gerar, where Abimelech is still the king. He had to have a huge entourage going with him, you know. They had a lot of servants. They had a lot of livestock. Besides their own family, they had to pack up all the tents, take everything they owned with them, and they went to Gerar, which was the land of the Philistines. Abimelech was the king. And so you are never going to believe what Isaac did. Just guess. Guess what Isaac did? The exact same thing his dad did. Like father, like son. He thought, Rebekah's beautiful. The men of this country are going to kill me to get to her. So I'm just going to lie and tell them she's my sister. That's what he did. Because Isaac's just like us. You know, when we get scared, we tend to tell little lies. Or if we think somebody's not going to like us, we might tell a lie. Or if we think we're going to get in trouble, we might tell a lie. But lying is always, always, always wrong. Now, it's not wrong to withhold information from somebody if it's going to bring harm. You know, if they're going to use that for bad things. You know, back in the time of World War II, if you were hiding Jews in your house and the Germans came and said, hey, you got any Jews here? It was okay to lie to them and not tell them because they didn't deserve to know the truth. They would have used it for evil. So it gets a little tricky here. But when you're lying to save your own skin, no, gotta trust God. I don't always, and neither did Isaac. And so they were living there with old Abimelech. And one day, you're never going to believe what happened. Abimelech looked out the window and he saw Isaac making out with Rebekah. So you can bet he just stormed down the stairs and slamming doors all the way. And he went up to Isaac. What the heck, Isaac? You told me she was your wife or your sister. And here she is, your wife. And Isaac was like, well, you know, I thought you'd kill me. Well, Abimelech believed in God. He just didn't worship him. He was a Philistine. He had probably lots of gods. But he remembered the power of Isaac's God because he remembered the curse that came on him when he took Sarah, Abraham's wife. So he believed in God. He believed in the power of God. He just didn't want to follow God's rules and do what God said, which is true for a lot of people today. We believe in God. We know He's powerful. We just don't always want to do what He says. And so Abimelech said, nobody touches Isaac. Nobody touches Rebekah. They are not to be harmed because he didn't want God to bring a curse on him. And Isaac just thrived in that land. His wealth and his possessions increased 100-fold. Can you imagine your wealth and all the stuff you have increasing 100% in 1 year? That's what happened to Isaac. And the Philistines were getting jealous. They didn't like it. Well, I've said this before. I really think jealousy is like a gateway drug. It just leads to more sin, bigger sins. It's not a sin to be jealous of somebody, but then we act on it. That's a big sin. Maybe jealousy is a sin. I don't know. But it's not good. When you notice it in you, you got to get it out of there. You got to ask God for help because we can't get rid of it on our own. We've got to ask God to come down and touch our heart. And so the Philistines said, you got to leave, Isaac. We don't want you here. So he packed up and he left. Well, as he was headed back to wherever he was going, he went the route Abraham told him, and he was finding all the wells that Abraham had dug. But the Philistines filled them in. Why? This is the Middle East. It's a desert. The ground's rock hard. They didn't have excavators. They have to dig wells by hand. Well, the Philistines must have thought, if we can't have them, nobody can. So they filled them in. I don't get it. They were just hurting themselves. But that's what happened, and that's what we do sometimes. So Isaac had to have his people dig out these wells by hand again. And they found water. But the Philistine herdsman said, oh, no, Isaac, that's our well. Yeah, that's our water, buddy. You just keep it a-moving. So Isaac moved on to the next well, dug it out, found water again. Nope, Philistine said, that's our water. Keep it moving, buddy. Keep it moving. So Isaac went on to another well. He didn't get mad. He didn't fight with them. I would have. That's my water. I would have fought over it. Isaac didn't. He might have lied about Rebekah, but he's trusting God that God will lead him to water. So he went to the third well. Well, Abimelech's hearing all about this, and now he's afraid Isaac's going to bring a curse down on me because we've been moving him off all the wells. I better go talk to him. And he didn't go alone. He brought all the heavy hitters. He brought his top advisor and his top military man. And Isaac's like, what are you doing here? You don't like me. You kicked me out. And they said, we don't want you hurting us, Isaac. And Isaac was like, I'm not going to hurt you. So he swore to him, I will not hurt you. They had a meal because all deals were sealed with a meal back then, my kind of deals. And next day, Abimelech left. And then Isaac's herdsman came to him and said, we found more water. God is blessing Isaac for turning that other cheek and not fighting with Abimelech's men. So what is it with all these wells and the water? I don't know. I'm just going to tell you what I think, and this is life according to Molly. I didn't learn this in a Bible study, so, it could be wrong. Take it for what it's worth. But water and wells are all over the Bible. Abraham's servant found Isaac's wife Rebekah at a well. Jacob's going to find his wife at a well. There's the woman at the well in Samaria. And Jesus gets baptized in the River Jordan, and the Holy Spirit comes to him. Water comes forth from a rock when Moses is leading the people out of Egypt, So there's a lot of water. What does all this mean? Well, when it comes to the wells, I think it means a lot. What is water? Water's a life-giving resource. We're going to die if we don't have any water. You can't live without water. Water is Jesus. We can't live without Jesus. Jesus is a life-giving resource for us. And Abraham dug those wells. He had to dig hard and dig deep and do a lot of work, but he found the water. He found Jesus. And nobody can make your relationship with God for you but you. Abraham couldn't create a relationship with God for Isaac. Isaac had to do it himself. So he had to dig back out these wells that his dad dug. He didn't have to start from scratch because his dad taught him about God. But he had to do the work to dig them out. And then he found water. When he did the right thing with Abimelech, he found water. And it's the same with us. We've got to dig deep and dig hard even when we don't want to get to the life-saving resources of our water, of Jesus, because we're going to die spiritually without him. May not die physically, right away, but we will die spiritually without God, without Jesus. So how do you dig a well? You gotta pray. You've gotta talk to God all day long. When you're washing your hands, talk to God. When you're doing the dishes, talk to God. When you're making supper or driving down the road, talk to God. Read the Bible. Go to church. Join a Bible study group. Do whatever it takes to get to know God better and to learn how to love Him more and more every day. It takes work. It's not always fun work, but neither's digging a well. You got to do that to get to the water. Well, that's what I've got for today. Oh yeah, almost forgot. They threw this in here. I don't know why. Isaac's got all this going on with the famine and the wells. And Esau, his oldest son, is driving him and Rebekah crazy. He's married not one, but 2 Hittite women. Esau is not following God's way. He's not marrying a woman who believes in God. He's still rebellious. He's still out for himself. He still doesn't really care what his parents think. Oh, that Esau. Well, when we come back, we're going to find out more about what's going on with Esau and Jacob. I hope you all just have the best day today, and I will truly be praying for you that you find your water, that you can dig deep and get closer and closer to Jesus. Bye-bye, everyone.